when I wasn't playing so great due to our like team problems and internet problems and non-existence of coach in our apartments, I was playing like, I don't know, I would beat myself 2 years ago with 95% of chance. So I think I was better than I was before, but like everyone else improved so much that I was like on their level, maybe a little below. But now I feel confidence in myself and I'm trying to improve even more to like be above everyone.
Welcome back to the Spring Split here, week 7. I'm joined by Neil, Prali, Hamad. You got some fans in the audience today. Currently on a 6-game winning streak. H2k definitely turning their fortunes around from the beginning of the split. How important is this game to you, and how important is the win record in your mindset and in your players?
Well, this really is just another game in LCS. Like, it is nice to have like the 6-0 start before it, but that kind of thing makes games harder if you're thinking like, oh yeah, we're 6-0. So a big point of this game is, yeah, it's just another game and we have to go into it as serious as we've always been, because last week against Giants, we kind of got complacent, I guess. So it was a good wake-up call against them to, get our stuff together. So this is literally just another game, but we have hopefully a nice strategy going into it.
I want to ask a little bit about that. Earlier today, Deficio and I were talking about the teams. We compared H2k to being a brainy team. You guys are equally strong, but the sum of your parts is greater. Gambit on the other side is a little bit more like the biceps team. It's individual performances and carries that's helped them win. We just heard from Diamond Prox talking about his confidence. He would beat himself 2 years ago. Does H2k have a plan to beat Diamond? And if you do, how do you beat Diamond?
I think Diamond's weakness is just kind of he's predictable, and we can kind of see what he would like to do in the game. The other thing is he's really good at starting team fights and kind of being that initiator. So if we're the ones starting fights, he's going to be obviously a little bit off kilt, because he's not used to that kind of thing. So between that and I think our 2v2 top and jungle is stronger than theirs. I think we had a fight last time we played them, and we came out on top despite the gold deficit we were at. So I think if we just play to our strengths and we can predict Diamond, we'll have a good strategy against them.
Well, we'll have to see if your prep and your 2v2s work out. One last question. H2k is relatively comfortable and safe in the mid to top half of the table. Are you guys already looking towards playoffs? Or what is the future plans for you and the team?
Playoffs, man. It's kind of a joke saying, yeah, we're going to be in playoffs. So it's more of a surprise thing that we haven't talked about yet, because yeah, that's in the future. And really, we need to live in the now to kind of get our advantage and keep it.
Well, the best of mindsets, of course. Focus on the games ahead of you. You may join your team for picks and bans, and all the luck in the world. For now, we're going to head back over to the amazingly shocking analyst desks.
Thank you so much, Quick Shot, and that insight from Prali. So deep. Live in the now. And right now, we're going to look at the lineups for this matchup. On the blue side today, with 6 straight wins under their belt, is H2k, Odoamne, Lulex, Ryu, Hjarnan, Kasing, and Prali. And on the other side, on the red side for this one, their opponents, Gambit Gaming with a 7-win streak, Cabochard, Diamond, Betsy, Pinoy, Edward, and their coach who we had earlier here today, Leviathan. The big news, of course, coming in here for Gambit is the fact that Betsy is now a permanent member on that roster. Nick is out for Gambit for now, at least. What do you make of the change?
It gives him another additional honeymoon phase. Like we've talked about it with Elements, where Capcom could give a honeymoon phase. Like maybe when Records came in, it was a honeymoon phase. But Betsy's like someone that's fresh from Solo. He's pretty young too, as you can see, and he's just given new motivation to the team. I feel it's possibly due to the coach too, but Betsy is someone that he's really energetic, especially in solo queue. When I see him, he always tries his hardest until a certain point, obviously, when the game is forfeit. But when I see him, I just see someone that has potential, and he has shown so far.
Let me ask you this. In a team like Gambit, do you think it might be good to have a player who's very energetic when it comes to his role, but maybe is quiet for the rest and lets kind of the teams do their thing?
It depends on the smart of the rest of the team, basically. Like if the rest of the team is able to handle a quiet person that is that doesn't need to talk as much, it's good. But if they're unable to handle that, it's bad, obviously. If they need another shot caller. We see that with MOM, for example, where they replaced a shot calling role in Impaler and brought new guys in, and they couldn't handle it so far until maybe now. But for Betsy, it has worked because like the coach Leviathan has done a great job, and Diamond and Edward have been around forever.
You mentioned it, Diamond, and you also heard it from him that he has a new approach to the game in general. How scary is Diamond in his prime?
Pretty scary, like at least back in Season 2. I don't know about now, we haven't scrimmed them too much, but when I see his play, and right now, he always draws 2 target bans on purpose on blue side. When he's blue side, the enemies have to respect his lead, the enemies have to respect his Rek'Sai, and they also by now have to respect his Sejuani. Overall, he's just freeing up so many picks because he's basically allowing Betsy, who's a new member right now, to get a free counter pick, to get whatever he wants to do, just because Diamond has already like 2 target events on him, so they can never shut down the new guy.
No, that's paying dividends for Gambit indeed. But they're up against H2k. H2k is in 3rd place on a hot streak, an up-and-coming team. And let's actually compare the 2 teams head-to-head in the last 7 weeks, or in the last 7 matchup rather, and what they've done right. We see that Gambit is ahead when it comes to the team KDA. They are not ahead when it comes to the early game and the gold, that they are at an advantage at 20 minutes, and they are ahead when it comes to wards. For me, the gold advantage at 20 minutes is very important because I feel like if H2k can get an early lead in this matchup and Gambit has to react, Gambit won't be able to.
Yeah, what I saw so far of Gambit is that they lose like the first 10 to 15 minutes of the game regularly, and they suddenly turn up like due to Diamond engaging, like them fighting plays. So if HK is able to get an early game lead and translate that into proper mid game control and don't allow Gambit to come back, especially with the Drake control that they've had in the past, I think it's going to be really good for them.
All right, we'll see how that one plays out. Things are set on stage, so let's hand it over to Pyra and the Fish Show for Champ Select.
Thank you very much, Shocks. Now, yeah, I think they said it best on the desk officio. The
Best
win
on the
streaks,
desk.
yeah, exactly.
Beautiful.
Win streaks is 7-6.
Yeah.
They're very close in the standings right now. I mean, at this point, I feel like this is probably one of our closest matchups, just because
agree.
of what the stylistic differences. I don't say they counter each other, but they're very explosive when they come
Yes.
head-to-head. I think this is going to be a really, really crazy game from that regard. And I was talking to Leviathan, actually, in the hallway, and he was mentioning, you expect a few different things this time around. So we'll see if he does it now and what the team decides to do going into picks and bans.
Yeah, again, we are on 5.4. Veigar and Zillion disabled, obviously. Should open up for a few new picks. I was going to talk about Sejuani for Diamond not being a new pick, but more one that you can take now that Javan has been nerfed a little bit, and Sejuani is somewhat getting better because of that. But H2k is saying, well, Diamond, Italy, Sejuani, that's gone. Obviously, a Rek'Sai first pick is going to come from H2k unless Gambit bans it away.
Yeah, it's very possible at this point. You can see he's getting comfortable in that chair. The Sivir, the Annie banned away for Gambit Gaming. There are the coaches taking their time. Let's see what H2k bans last. They have one more available, and they take away Zed from Betsy.
So if Gambit does not ban Rek'Sai now, they give it over to H2k, and then we know exactly, okay, well, it is banned.
I think you predicted that correctly, yeah.
Then we suddenly go back to the likes of Lissandra as a potential first pick. Ahri is open. LeBlanc, now that Kassadin is kind of off the table and Zed is banned, suddenly LeBlanc becomes a bit of a power pick in that mid lane we see often here in Europe. But we also have to look at the likes of Gnar and Maokai for Odoamne. Not his first picks, maybe the Gnar, but he's undefeated when he's playing Gnar and Maokai. He's so good in tanks. Whenever he's playing Lissandra, it's kind of meh, I'm gonna say. He's still good on it, but not as good as when he's playing these big frontline tanks. It's really been the way for him, and that means, from Gambit's side, you have to be careful what you take in the early picks, because you don't want to allow H2k to take like a Maokai in the last rotation, which will then work perfectly into whatever combo you just pick, like a burst combo or whatever, the Maokai just shuts down completely. So you always have to worry about the Maokai trap. I know Leviathan likes to call it, and I'm sure they're aware of it. We mentioned the Ahri before. Now that there's been a few mid lane bans, and obviously LeBlanc could also been the option for them, could be the response from Betsy. But this is simply taking mid laners away from Betsy alone. Because he's played Ezreal, that was like 1-0-2 performance, basically. He didn't really do anything in that game. That was the first game he played on stage. Then he's played Zed and Ahri every other game, and he's been great on them. You ban the Zed, you get the Ahri because the Rek'Sai was banned by Gambit. Suddenly now you target him, and he's champion pool.
Yeah, and it's also been one of Ryu's more successful champions.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Across the board. So it makes a lot of sense to accomplish just the double whammy there. Let's see what Gambit Gaming answers with. Both teams really so far taking their time on the pick and ban timer.
Yeah, Morgana has been a massive pick for Gambit. It can be played in mid lane, in top lane, and in support, so you don't really tilt too much when you lock it in. And what they have done before is take like Morgana early, and then take the likes of a Kennen as the last pick, and then swap Morgana to support, and then somewhat surprise them. In this game, though, or well, for now, we're not going to get Morgana. Instead, this Tristana. We've seen it before last week against Rocket. It was not a pretty game from Gambit, but they did manage to win it. And once they grouped in the late game, it took Pinoy about 2 seconds to destroy a tower, because you can put your E, the new Tristana, obviously, you can put the E on the tower, 4 hits or 3 hits, max charge, explodes, damage to the tower as well, you destroy them.
Comes in like a wrecking ball, that's for sure. Gambit Gaming, they've got their bot lane fleshed out. We could still see the Morgana. I want to see if H2k decide to pick it up. It was that old Thresh counter. It's a possibility. Kasing has been kind of the king of these initiations, and Morgana can enable those. You hit those bindings the way you want to. Let's see what they take here, though.
And we really see for both teams here, they try to take away from the new guy. Kasing, it's all about Thresh and Annie for him, mainly. Annie's banned. Ari first pick, okay, we take a Thresh. We don't take Morgana in this round here because we want to get this support pick for Eddie to deny it from Kasing. And that simply means Morgana, who would have fit in perfect with Tristana to fast push down towers, Black Shield and her, she will destroy them. Pinoy still chilling around.
He is very relaxed about this.
I mean, he already got his AD carry, man.
He's
done.
good. He's good to go. In H2k side, Lulix is going to go ahead and go with the Jarvan this time again.
Oh, no. Come on, go Victor.
You wanted to see the Victor, huh?
It's been played, obviously, a few times in career.
Yeah.
By G Tigers. Hopefully we can see it at IM Katowice as well.
Oh, yeah, coming up.
Yeah.
Featuring this team, too, Gambit Gaming.
For sure. Let's see what they can do and if they are able to keep the winning streak. 7-0 now.
Well, they've got to keep it going now if they want to carry it into Katowice.
They started 0-5. Then Leviathan came in, and the team really started working well together. Obviously, Betsy joined in later once they already won 3 games, but now 7 games in a row. If they beat H2k, they have Giants tomorrow, who just lost to MYM. Then we're suddenly looking at 9-0, and we have that 13-5 The Dream.
Oh!
Gambit.
They do lock in the Evelyn. This is what they were talking about with some different kind of stuff. Okay. And we see the Lulu.
So I think Evelyn jungle is pretty trash. But if there's any if there's any jungler who can pull it off, it's Diamond, who used to be a fantastic Evelyn player. She did have a small buff, I think we can say. Some would argue it might be a nerf coming in, where your E now is 2 strikes that apply on hit effects. So let's say you start a Crooks, which I would expect from him. You smite that one, so you get obviously the 2 auto attacks, or the auto attacks for the stuns. And you then have their E to give these double auto attacks, so you charge up the stun a bit faster from the Crooks, and that allows you to jungle a little bit better early on. I think that's one of the things we're gonna see from Diamond. And then he needs to get to late game on this Evelyn here. Still, fairly strong damage-wise. Later on, I would expect also some like AP from him, maybe AP tank or just pure AP. We're gonna have to see what he will do. Exciting at least with a new jungler.
Yeah, that's for sure. I don't think H2k expected that one. They will complete their lineup with a Corki and a Maokai. So Otoamne will be on that tanky initiator. Once again, Gambit still have an option. They can send the Lulu top if they want to, or they can keep it mid for Betsy. Let's see what they do here. There still are a lot of assassins available on the field, and Betsy does like to play them.
And we mentioned this Maokai trap beforehand. H2k love to take it in one of the last rotations where they see, okay, how much damage or what kind of damage is there on Gambit's side? It's a lot of burst damage, then we take Maokai into it. We use the ulti to kind of like nullify their burst coming in, and he can stay alive. In this case, because it's going to be it's going to be what we would assume a Lulu mid lane, and then a carry top lane for Carbishard. Kennen has been a big pick for him in the past, but with Lulu mid lane, it's very easy for Maokai to dive onto the Tristana, who's going to be the main damage dealer late, and kind of like shut him down or try and remove him from the fight, because Lulu herself is not going to solo kill targets. It's going to be all about Pinoy. And now it's also going to be about this Kennen, who sadly is somewhat countered by Maokai in the team fights because of that big ulti, because you can lock him down before he even gets into a team if you have no flash. So Gambit in a little bit of a tricky spot because of that Maokai coming in, but a full late game Tristana can take care of business.
That's very true. And I'm still really wanting to see what they do with this jungle Evelyn too. We haven't seen quite so many of the stealth champions really make their way back around LCS-wise lately. And, you know, that element of surprise is very, very valuable. You mentioned there were a couple of those buffs. See if that's considered to be enough. I know you may not believe in it, but, I mean, again, Diamond, he is the guy that can make things work that should not.
If I saw Evelyn in my solo queue game, I would be a little bit worried and say, okay, let's see what happens. But when Diamond is picking it, I trust in Diamond to do well.
So if you see Diamond in your solo queue game, what do you do?
Well, then I say, hallelujah, LP for me.
All right. I suppose that's confidence right there.
Sadly, I'm not really up with Diamond yet.
I'll have to give it some time. Yeah. So, yeah, these have been fully fleshed out. Can't wait to see how this one happens going on. There we go. Handshakes all around from Leviathan and Prawley as they walk off the stage to get this one started. This is going to be a different kind of game. We'll see if Gambit Gaming keeps that streak or if it's H2k. That's going to be interesting to see.
Fairly standard comps for the two teams, except for maybe the Evelyn.
Yeah.
We can talk about that in game, because obviously now you guys need to go to Twitter.
Yeah, tell us, what do you think? Who's going to keep their streak alive? Tweet us at LOL Esports with H2k win or GMB win. I hope you're as pumped as the crowd here, because we're getting on stage for H2k versus Gambit Gaming.
7-0 Gambit, 6-0 H2k. Undefeated with Kissing so far in the LCS. Can Gambit be the first team to shut him down? Because he's really been fantastic for the H2k guys.
Oh yeah, completely revitalized them, it seems. And you know, their sync, their synergy week over week has just shown so much improvement. A lot of credit to W7D1 for really stepping up to these big
MVP last week.
bruisers. Yeah, I mean, he was fantastic on Maokai 2 games. He's gone for it yet again. Cabochard's got his work cut out for him, especially if they opt for standard lanes.
And the thing is, H2k's comp. First of all, you have a decent level 1 because you have a Morgana in itself, the binding. If you do manage to catch someone like Cabochard or force a flash, could be the case.
Go for it.
But their comp is super standard for them. You have W7D1 on a tank. He's undefeated on Maokai, undefeated on Gnar. He needs to be in their front line. We heard probably talk about the engage onto Gambit. Well, you have Jarvan, you have Maokai as well to do that. Rio and Ari, standard champion for him. Very strong laning phase, strong mid game, strong all around, honestly. And then you have Yanan here who can do well in the laning phase on a Corki, get level 6, get towards the Trinity Force, and then they like to use him to simply early push down towers. If he takes the bottom lane, well, then he goes straight to the top lane, he pushes in that one, and that's where Corki is perfect with his Trinity Force, where barely any AD carries, especially not a Tristana, can hold him off, and he will be able to pressure you and take your tower if you don't send more guys up there to defend. So H2k, super standard comp for them. They know exactly how to play it.
Yep, and they have already preempted the lane swap by making moves up there themselves. They should be able to spot this one. Well placed ward, sees Eddie and Pinoy. And they're going to actually ping out on Hjarnan on the side of Gambit. So everybody knows this is happening. We got the double lane swap going down. Lulex and W7D1 are going to jungle buddy it up for the red buff.
Yeah, so they see the dual lane from Gambit on the top side with these early wards they've placed. And they keep the, obviously, supporting AD carry there to get the 2-2 lane. Still take the red buff. So they were basically setting up for, if Gambit had been on the bottom side with Eddie and Pinoy, well, you would have started the red buff anyway to secure red and blue for yourself and not risk getting invaded on by all the members from Gambit on the bottom side. And now they managed to sneak it anyway. Diamond, of course, is aware of it, and he should be able to go for the red buff himself. Let's see if Lulex is going straight for him or if he's happy just trading standard buffs. Seems like he will be happy just doing wolves for himself, so Diamond can get a red buff for himself now.
Yeah, he certainly can. They will be able to trade it out if they want. Diamond, so he had an opportunity to go mid, decided, okay, definitely got a chance. He's able to poke this one out, or at least drag it into a safer area thanks to the hate spikes. And Lulex throws down the rest of the wolves as he completes his jungle route, or starts to complete his jungle route, rather. Eddie and Pinoy are actually pushed quite far in, and this isn't that surprising, considering how low powered the Tristana lane is early on.
After the changes to Tristana, she got even weaker in the laning phase. And she really needs to get like a BF sword before she can start trading damage effectively, because her E is now an AD ratio. So for that one to really start working for her.
Yeah. Pinoy didn't seem too worried about it at the start of the game. No, he was lounging a bit.
And it's been a thing for Gambit. They don't really care too much about how the bottom lane does in a 2-on-2 situation. It's a lot more about Betsy and Cabochard in the laning phase. And that's one of the reasons we always see Diamond put so much focus on Cabochard especially. He's been one of the big carries for them, and this top lane jungle synergy has been great. Really been paying off. A lot of teams have fallen simply behind because they try and fight them and they just end up getting outplayed. Cabochard gets a big lead, Diamond gets a big lead, and they use that to snowball. They kind of just leave Pinoy and AD to do their own thing in the 2-on-2.
And they trust them too, that's what's important. When you only have to go between the two solo lanes, it's not a long transit time. You can optimize your routes, and you know they really just trust Pinoy and Edward to really, not necessarily make the early plays, but to stay alive in lane.
And you know your solo laners are strong enough players to carry if they do get a lead, which has been the big deal for Gambit. Really, really strong individually. This time around, though, they have Lulu mid lane, so this is a big change for Betsy from the RAZ we normally see, which would tell me we see less focus on the mid lane, as it's not that important to snowball the Lulu. And then potentially maybe Diamond going up and helping his dual lane get that Tristana rolling. Otherwise, it's going to be all about Capuchon and Kennen. We've seen it before. He gets a great start. He takes over the game.
Oh, yes, indeed. Edward and Pinoy still poking away, grabbing the farm that they can here and there. Really keeping up quite well in CS versus this lane of Yarnan and Kasing, who haven't really had too much of a chance to make some plays. Kasing now, though, is going on the roam. He should be able to pop down a few deep wards if he wants. Looks like he throws it down at the Krugs.
And we're going to have to see if Gambit can survive this mid game. Coming in from H2k when you have Ahri, when you have the Corki. To really start grouping up and having so much poke damage and all in like team fighting potential from their side, where Tristana needs more time before she becomes effective. Kennen needs to get his hourglass as well before we're really going to see him join the fights, and typically, especially into like double AP, and in this case 2.5 almost with the Corki, we normally see Abyssal Scepter first from a Kennen, then into an hourglass. So there's 2 items needed for Odoamne. We know the Evelynn needs to go late game as well to really be effective. So for Gambit here, if they get a standard super slow early game where they can just sit and farm, that's heavily in their favor, as long as they don't fall too far behind to H2k's strong mid game through this Corki Ahri.
Yeah, the key, if they don't fall behind, that's kind of the point there. So H2k is going to be the ones looking to make sure that they have the edge in that one. So far, both the jungle has been relatively quiet. Lulex is going to wander through this river and find that there's a pink ward there just for the taking. Diamond has been looking for an angle. He's been pretty unseen by this team, but that might be about to change. Lulex just outside the range. There we go. He's going to get the vision proc. Hate spikes thrown down. The flag, though, does go wide. Diamond will be able to get away.
Expecting a little juke from Diamond. Didn't happen. We see the skirmishes for him on Evelynn here. So really looking to find Lulex and like duel him one-on-one. That 20% damage reduction to true damage as well for him. So he's looking to be aggressive. Not just sitting back and farming with a Trailblazer on Evelynn. Despite her having a fairly weak jungle clear, she drops pretty low. But Diamond so far has been doing a good job farming.
Yeah, he's definitely been keeping up here with this much more conventional pick from Lulex. So Kasing continuing to roam around and try to grab wards where he can. You can see Hjarnan actually hanging around, alternating between pushing on the tower. And yeah, you look at Diamond, that it gets so low when he does do his full clears, but he's able to make it out alive, and there hasn't been a lot of retribution from Lulex at all, who's actually hanging out on the bottom side trying to bait out Cabochard.
Basically, Lulex is saying, I know you want to gank this bottom lane, and my laner is now pushing it. So you can see how Odoamne is pushing the wave all the way up to the tower. So in case he was there all on his own and Diamond had been healthy, Gambit could set up a fairly easy gank onto him, like force a flash. That's why Lulex is going down to the bottom lane. It's not to gank Cabochard, it's just to wait. If there's a potential gank, he can counter gank. And then he just starts recalling, goes back to his clear, said, okay, the lane has now been somewhat reset. Minions are meeting in the middle now, which means my jungle or my top laner is now safe. I can back away. So that's all he's doing. He's respecting the fact that Gambit likes to put so much focus on the top lane. Meanwhile, these bottom lanes have just been fighting quite a lot. We see this BF sword coming in, and suddenly Pinoy, he wants to trade now. The AD ratio is fairly good on the E, and he can start taking fairly good fights.
Hjarnan found that out firsthand, so Edward also the ever-present threat. He does manage to land those hooks. It could be dangerous for this very squishy bottom lane. Lulex is going to find another pink with the help of Ryu. Well, Diamond keeps on clearing. They do spot him out with that ward, but they're not interested in diving on him.
Diamond got his level 6 now. Going towards the Magus enchant on his skirmishes. And then I wonder if we're going to see him go towards the likes of a Rylai's maybe, if he wants to be a little bit tanky. Because if you look at Gambit's comp here, there's not really any front line. Thresh is a support who's more focused on peeling for his carries than being in the front. Kennen obviously will dive in with the Hourglass. But if H2k times that correctly and disengages when Kennen goes in, or engages onto the Kennen itself, then suddenly Gambit doesn't have anything in the front to protect their carries. And the 2 tanks, Jarvan and Maokai from H2k, will have a fairly easy time then diving onto Pinoy, diving onto Betsy in the fight itself. So it's going to be a lot more about kiting around for Gambit and then trying to use these big AoE ultis from like Evelynn and Kennen to zone. But now Diamond is
got to stay alive first. Yeah, they're going to get away from it just for a moment, but they are in a little bit of trouble. So Teleport comes in to save the day. Cabochard moves in on Odoamne. They've got a lot of damage, and it looks like that is going to be first blood. It goes to Cabochard, but wait, there we go. He's going to throw down his own ultimate as Ryu missed the charm, but still finds the damage. Lulex answers with a kill onto Cabochard. Now Diamond in hot pursuit of both. Can he pick them up with a hate spike? Flag and drag, he's got no more mana, as you said. and they will make their great escape. Top laners traded.
So quite a fight here in the mid lane. Teleport's coming in. Will teleport from Cabochard. Odoamne, he roamed from the bottom lane up there. Ends up trading 1 for 1. Both top laners dying. And H2k instantly leaving this top lane, rotating down to the mid lane, start pushing in, knowing that Gambit is fairly low after the fight, get a few hits on the tower, and Odoamne, because he had the teleport that Cabochard didn't, could instantly join the top lane. Should be able to push in the wave as well before anyone shows up. Nice little move here by H2k. Really using that TP advantage. Gain a bit of extra farm and XP.
Yeah. They were able to do just that. Now, Ryu Lulix continue to roam together for just a moment. This time it might be for the purpose of picking that blue buff up. However, that is the case. So, Odoamne has really been unchallenged, even now that he's swapped up to the top. How well is he going to fare in this 1v2 situation? Because he's still just sitting on the Catalyst and the double Dorans. I feel like the positioning from Pinoy and Edward is going to be too good for him to really take advantage of.
Oh, he won't be able to kill them or anything. He's just going to basically farm. That's it. And even for Gambit, if they had kept Eddie on the top side, you invest a lot of resources onto one lane at once and completely giving up control of the bottom side of the map, which means H2k should be able to set up a fairly easy dragon. So that's why Eddie is not showing himself in the top lane. Instead, he's going down here. Pinoy can handle himself in a one-on-one. Remember, you want to get this Tristana fed. Average Blade has been picked up after BF Sword, so he's aiming to kind of like lunge towards the 2-item spike, Infinity Edge, Static Shift. So they leave him in the one-on-one, give him a level advantage as well, and you keep 4 guys on the bottom side of the map, so you don't have to give up an easy dragon to H2k.
Exactly. They bring Edward down to the bottom. He's going to land the hook, but it was Black Shielded very quickly. And they are going to wander out of lane after that. Lulix continuing to rove around and try to clear as many pink wards as he can. He does get the one. And he's getting pinged out by Gambit.
We also see Cabochard here not going for that business. Oh,
he flays him into the box. Kasing has a big bite out of his health taken, but the second wind here from H2k is going to be quite a lot, and they pull Cabochard out of the range of the Dark Binding.
You can see how Cabochard was like, oh, should I go in or not? Can I kill this support here? But because Diamond was on the top side of the map, he was farming the crooks, and there's no flash for Cabochard, he played it safe and smart, and he stayed back and said, okay, I'm not going to risk anything, because there's such a high chance of Lurix being nearby, and that was a good call by him, not going all in for it. Will still be Dragon for H2k, as Diamond was not around the bottom side, so they will get it anyway. Obviously no teleports from either of the top laners.
Yeah.
Would have been weird for Cabochard anyway.
Yeah.
On the bottom side.
Would have been quite a short distance, but yeah, Gambit, I feel like that was just kind of not necessarily, they played it very safely. H2k just had a better timing on the Drake. They were able to take advantage of the fact that Diamond wasn't anywhere around. Not only was he on the top side, but he backed away. So they were able to get that well-secured dragon. But now Gambit is focusing on this bottom side. Diamond is coming in. Neither team knows this is a 3v3, however, but if Lulix does back away, then the tables turn.
Yeah, because he's recalling H2k again, say fine. We're just going to play it safe. What these teams are doing here is, whenever you play against Evelynn, because it's so hard to spot her normally, you always think to yourself, okay, she's in my lane right now. I'm not going to go aggressive if I don't know I have my backup ready. So as Lulix were recalling from the bottom side, basically we saw Jan and Kasing say, okay, we expect Evelynn to be here. We have to respect the fact she could be. So we just simply go back to our own tower once we clear the wave. Don't want to risk any stupid fights. Don't want to try and snowball Gambit suddenly. So that's all they're doing. And what H2k did before as well with that dragon that was so smart is, you know that when Evelynn is just farming, she drops fairly low in the jungle. So if you don't see her gank any lanes, you should expect her to be jungling. And then she will never be on full HP. And you know she's going to be fairly squishy if she shows up. If she's recalled, well, that's perfect for you. If she comes in with 50% HP, you just engage on her with the Jarvan and kill her. Because there was no flash from the fight before from Diamond. And that's another reason for them being able to just take that dragon. Because they hadn't seen Diamond in a while. He's back to farming at the moment. Red buff is up for him.
It's pretty stylistic of Gambit, too, to not try to contest the early dragons unless they know they can get them for free. H2k, on the other hand, they're much more methodical, as we mentioned a lot in the pregame. They're much more by the book. And, okay, we're going to go for dragon. If we see someone on top, we're going to go and just not necessarily go for the big plays, but what will secure us the objectives. Now, Pinoy, he could be in some trouble here, taking extremely low as he flashes, and he heals and hops. Oh, that was close for the little Yordle.
Stays alive, but this lane will be pushing. Diamond is here. He's fairly low on mana already. Once again, he's been back in that jungle. A lot of damage on the tower.
That's the question.
H2k at the moment is the proactive team.
Oh, he's spotted by the sapling.
Basically, H2k is the ones forcing these roams around or plays around the map is Lulix going top lane to start the gank on Pinoy, force him back to base, so now this tower will go down, and there's no response from Gambit's side. They're the ones who've been sitting back in the lane. Let's see if they can do anything to Yanin, though.
Yep, he's trying to move away from all the skill shots. However, there's a
behind.
teleport in the back. They know this is happening. Lantern immediately. Zodawamne comes, the boxes up. Here comes Kasing as well. Eddie is going to be in some trouble, but Kabashar's moving forward for Yarnin. The heal is baited out. He takes a Zanya's Hourglass as the Tormented Soil expires and they collapse on him. Zodawamne picking that kill.
So we have to remember, it's still Kabasha sitting in the bottom lane of the map with Eddie. So there's no TP advantage for Gambit to gain there. And because H2k set up that play in the top lane, got the tower for it, had teleport ready on Odoamne, sorry. It simply meant as soon as Gambit tried to force a fight on the bottom side, well, he's just going to teleport down behind you, like he did right here. Beautiful setup again by H2k. They're so good at using teleports, they're so good at knowing where to push and where to be with your team, so they just teleport down behind. Yanin wasn't caught out at all. Turn it around, get a kill, get a tower more. 3 out of turrets, first dragon as well for them.
Yeah, and
they will be able to defend this one.
They're making their way back in
should.
time, and it's actually pinging this one out. I mean, as quick as Tristana can take down towers, you're not quite at that point yet with Pinoy, and he is going to have to back away from this one. Ryu is here, and Pinoy doesn't know where anyone else is, so he's going to take the rocket jump out immediately as he is joined by Eddie. Actually, he's not going to back away this time. They're going to go for a second win, but still, H2k, better rotation so far. It has netted them a 2.5, or about 2,000 gold lead, and the dragon and 3 towers to none.
And what we didn't see in the mid lane, where the tower went down, it was again Lulix showing up in the lane. He's been the active guy here in the early stages of this match. He's the guy saying, I'm going to push top lane. Okay, I'm going to roam up there now, get a gang on the AD carry, push it down. Okay, I'm going to go mid lane now because I know Tristana is again sitting in the top lane. I know there's a fight going on in the bottom lane, so I have information on at least 4 guys from Gambit. I can just walk straight into this lane. Ari and Javan together is still a very strong 2-on-2 skirmish, so we can safely push it in. There's nothing Evelyn and Lulu can do as a response to that, so that's why they can safely push in these lanes and just decide, okay, where do we want to get our turret? Right there, perfect. Big goal lead for them now. Well, big, 2,000 gold, but still so early in the game, 16 minutes in, that's quite a lot. Yeah,
and we're taking a breather here as we ascertain what the issue is. Looks like Ref standing behind Eddie. It looks like he does have a keyboard issue. So as we try to get that one resolved, yeah, 2,000 gold in the lead for H2k. A lot of that's off the back of the towers that they've got. Fairly low kill score. And again, this is just kind of H2k's style of rotating around the map and just trying to grab the objectives, be more focused like that. A bit like SK Gaming, but they're far less predictable in the way that they go about this. And Gambit, you know, they want to fight every angle you get. They want to flank and maybe try to get some assassinations on you, but they haven't been given those opportunities by H2k in this game.
Right, and they don't have the comp to do it either. They need more time for them to really start being impactful because it's going to be so much about Tristana here for Pinoy. That's why they're keeping him in that top lane to just be on his own. If he can get to like level 9, first of all, so you got max rank on your E, basically means once you go to that tower, you do a lot more damage onto it, which is, this comp is built around being able to fast push down towers when you had Lulu Thresh peeling for Tristana. So they need more time before they can start making big plays on the side of Gambit, and H2k has been able to take advantage of it, especially through perfect teleports from Odoamne.
Exactly. So as we get back into this one, we've got a dragon about a minute away from spawning. H2k got that one quite easily last time. It's off the better rotation. Again, Gambit seems to be pretty top-heavy in this. Ryu, he's got his Spirit Rush available if he needs to get out of danger. They're not going to look at diving him right now. Edward just kind of oscillating between that mid and top side, but here come Diamond and Kabashard to push away the mini-wave.
And we have seen Kabashard change his build a little bit. Normally he likes that Abyssal first, but because there is no front line on the side of Gambit, then he has gone for Hourglass first to at least be ready for any fights and being able to engage in as the first man, then followed by Evelyn after. See Diamond as well going for Locket for him. So we're going to get that AP tank-ish build coming from him.
Kabashard, he was caught for just a moment, but he throws down the slicing Maelstrom, and there is the Zanya's Hourglass to avoid the Orbit Deception, but Ryu will have a chance with the Charm of the Flash to move away from it, and here comes Diamond as Ryu got in some trouble. He's going to get smited for just a second, not enough damage on the hate spikes as he gets away.
It is moving in, though.
It's not over yet, Deficio.
It is over now.
Oh, now it is, okay.
Some big plays in that top lane. Flash from Kabashard to avoid the charm. And also Ryu staying alive and fighting in a 1v2. And what happens now? The 2 guys have to go top lane, even 3 with Eddie, despite him not being spotted, I think, by H2k. Well, you invest so many resources and players now on one side of the map that you will always lose on the other side. And H2k saying, fair enough, you want to fight 1 versus 2, you're not even getting a kill. We take a free dragon for ourselves, we push the bottom lane, we push the mid lane. There's just so much more control for them. Because Gambit at this point, in order to even get a kill, needs to use at least 2 players for it, and they didn't even manage to get it.
Yeah, they weren't able to pick it off. And there is the hook with the black shield once again as the blue buff gets taken away. Diamond not quite able to secure it. Looks like it goes over to Lulex.
No real fights in the near future with that dragon going over to H2k side. That is good for Gambit though, because it does mean they can get closer to these 2 items, which they at least need on Tristana and the cannon before they really want to start fighting. And then the more the better later on in the game. But with these 3 auto turrets down and the threat of their potential 5th dragon later, it suddenly becomes a bit tougher for them. Odoam now with the Righteous Law, he always likes to build it on Maokai. Use it to speed around, look for potential engages. Doesn't get anything this time, but Gambit did get the top tower. We've been pushing down. Some goal for them.
Yeah, they will get a little bit back, but they have to be careful. This mid tower now being fired on Kjarn and Odowan named Ryu. In the middle, the charm gets dodged away by Betsy. Diamond is actually moving around this side, but Lulex is also there. It's going to be hard to set up the flank here. He does want to go for it. So far, we haven't seen too much out of this Evelynn, but again, the AP tanky build. Let's see if it helps.
Yeah, that's a bit of an annoying thing when playing against Evelynn is standard wards doesn't really do too much for you in terms of trying to spot a flank.
Have to invest in the pinks.
Exactly, you need those pink wards. They can be played fairly easily.
Now, though.
Diamond, there's a pink ward right here, so they can see him. They know exactly where he is, and that's why they can just push up on the tower. They see 4 guys defending, and they see the Evelynn on the side. No real threat for H2k in this case here. Another one, another tower for them. Gambit trying to prolong the game.
Trying indeed. Pinoy will take away that blue, or the red rather. A lot of wards invested, a lot of pink wards especially for both teams, but it really has been H2Ks that have been keeping Diamond down. This time around 0-0-1 is his scoreline in this matchup. Not exactly what we would expect, what we've come to expect from him.
Well, that's true. He's been fantastic the last few weeks. He's been all over the place in terms of ganking, team fighting. We have seen a few times though where Diamond prefers the more farm-heavy style, especially when playing Sidrina, but let's just see what happens mid lane here. Then engaging in.
Yep, Betsy is able to take the Lantern out. There's a hook on the other side, but it's not going to connect, and Edward takes the Dark Binding. It is a 4v5 in this middle, so Gambit don't want to fight it out as they have Cabochard pushing up top.
And that was TP blown, so now a small advantage for Gambit with the cannon. Might be able to use that to create some side lane pressure for themselves. But as we just said here with Diamond, we've seen before where he prefers to farm early on when he plays the likes of Sejuani, and then he just focuses on becoming a fantastic tank and engage tool in the fights, which is something he's really good at. So good at timing. Okay, when can I engage? When should we fight? We'll have to do the same on Evelynn in this game for him. Going, as we said earlier, for that Locket. So mixing it up, a little bit of AP, and then somewhat tanky from there, becoming the only front line for Gambit.
Yeah, the unseen front line too. We'll see if it does work out for them. But for now, H2k still getting the better around the sides. They were able to clear the wave on the bottom and push it back just a little bit. Ryu's also in the top. Gambit trying 3-man strong in this middle, but Odoamne and Kasing are both there, and they're pushing the wave back pretty quickly. Pinoy still not got nearly enough damage, but there is a flank being set up. We'll see if they can pull it off. They don't have the minion wave to do it just yet, but Cabochard and Diamond waiting the wings.
But that was just a few seconds for Pinoy, and suddenly the tower's down to 50%, and we're only 22 minutes in. This Tristana is only going to get better and better and taking them down. So if Gambit managed to get to that point where they're the ones who can group together, have the Lulu and Thresh to peel for Pinoy, then it's going to be so much about fast pushing in as a group, getting a few hits on a tower every single time they have the chance, and then just back away. Don't risk a massive engage coming from Maokai and Jarvan together. No, just sit there, get a few hits here, get a few hits on the tower itself, and play that game where you just take down objectives, get the global goals, and that's how you create your lead. My only worry is just, will they have enough damage in the potential team fight against a Maokai, which is gonna stack obviously pure defensive from him. The Jarvan's gonna do the same after this Warrior enchant. Those two guys in front, if it's only Pinoy to really take them down, seeing as we would expect Cabochard to be diving the backline of H2k, he might not be able to do it. for Pinoy himself.
Oh, Edward goes really far for a moment, completes his windup, but he does get taken down. Here comes Kabushar with the Maelstrom in the side of H2k. Do they have the damage to finish a kill? They do. It's Diamond picking up Lulex. Odoamne, oh so low.
Gonna
Here
get
comes Pinoy, but he's getting chunked away. Kabushar manages to pick up a kill. It's a 2-for-2. The top and jungle for an AD carry and support, and a mid goes down as well. Betsy falling, a double kill for Hjarnan. Very close fight though, Deficio.
Yeah, H2k pushing their lead a little bit here, and then Eddie tried to make the play. Only got the hook onto Lulex, didn't really matter for him. He ended up dying, but then great ulti from Kabushar coming. Let's see once we get the replay. H2k are not done pushing. Still 3 guys. Fairly helpful for them, will be a tower as well.
Looks like that will be the case. It's taken down. The turret score now 5 towers, 2-1. Let's take a look at how that fight unfolded, however.
Right, so Eddie is trying to make the play. He wants to flash play onto Hjarnan here and hopefully catch him out. Misses that one, and then Lulex, I think that hook didn't matter. Kabushar though, 5-man killing ulti incoming. Beautiful setup from him. Pinoy is now safe in the backline because of the kill and zoning with Diamond, of course, on the Evelyn. So that's a good setup now. They get the first kill and start chasing. Odoamne goes down, and then the problem is overextend. Pinoy jumps in, caught out. Betsy goes in, caught out as well. Quick turnaround from H2k.
Yeah, we'll have to change that up. The crab gets pulled in, but it's Lulex who smites it down. H2k looking to reestablish the dragon control. That dragon is now live once again. It is 2-0 in favor of H2k. They can clear out the vision once again. Edward and Diamond and Pinoy just trying to make something happen here. They've not got the speed up shrine, and they are going to cede some ground over as they need to clear away the minions from the middle. And Dragon's actually procced. H2k not wasting any time.
No, as soon as they see Betsy in the middle and they ping it, they start the dragon. Gambit has to basically regroup because you don't want Betsy to flank around on a Lulu. No, she needs to be with your carry. So as soon as he was out of position, Gambit were unable to take the fight. Third dragon, yeah, for H2k. It's normally Gambit we see get the early dragons and then have that 5th one as a potential way of winning later on. Not in this game. H2k, team controlling it. Smart early game.
Yeah, they do tend to give it up when there's a team that's very strong about trying to contest it. So in this case, yeah, they're really not getting an opportunity to play the game the way that they want to do, and as a result, H2k, you know, they find themselves up this lead at about 26 minutes in. And here we go. If they can catch Lulex, that would be something, but he is going to be able to EQ combo his way to safety. They're still trying to keep some map control up top here, but they're not getting much for it.
Very surprised Hjarnan is going for Blade as his second item on Corki. That's normally what you do if you're against a massive, like, tanky front line, and you know that your goal, basically, in team fights is just to take down these tanks. Let's see what happens here. Odoamne teleporting in.
There's the flank. He's going to get hit by the box. However, Edward is the one who's going oh so low. Betsy caught with the dark binding, and it's going to be Edward going down. Betsy in some trouble on the chase. The rest of H2k collapse around him, and another double kill goes over to Hjarnan, and like clockwork, they move back to mid. Actually, it looks like they might be heading for Baron.
Another great teleport, though, from Odoamne here on this Maokai. Gambit push up the mid lane. There was a ward behind them. Oh, Kabushar.
Oh, and he's caught up the combo. Ryu, can he pick the rest of it? They're going to connect at the very end, and Ryu, the last charge of the Spirit Rush. And now it's going to be Baron time. Can Diamond be the hero? He is oh so in danger right now from the rest of the team. I don't know how else to put it, but they're not even giving him an opportunity. Kasing zoning away. He's going to go around the long side. Pinoy is here as well. But this Baron, it looks like it's going down. That is going to be taken out by Lulex. Diamond never had a chance for the steal, and a Baron picked up by H2k, but now it's time to fight. Can they pick a kill? Pinoy gets one, knocks back into the team for a double kill. Odoamne now in the front, but H2k have forsaken him as Pinoy rocket jumps his way forward. He's got his eyes set on a triple, and Eddie wants to give it to him. The play, the twisted advance, one more shot, and Pinoy picks up another.
And that really is the Gambit we know right here. You lose the Baron. H2k is saying, okay, we're 5 guys with Baron. We can easily just go top lane, catch that big wave coming in, and we can take a tower. And then suddenly you just realize Gambit is waiting with 3 guys. The only one's alive. And they simply just catch you out. 2 kills early for Pinoy. You got the last one as well. Not sure if you got all 3, but that was very, very important for them. Despite losing that Baron, which of course was terrible, they managed to at least secure some kills, get a tower. Pinoy suddenly gonna start looking scary on this Tristana.
Yeah, I mean, that was really something Gambit needed, but that is so textbook them, if you can even put what they do. down on paper because it's so hard to describe. H2k get caught, get outflanked. They lose 3 members in that after securing the Baron. And now they've only got 2 more to work with to try to push these side lanes. So they're still in the lead, very much so. However, Gambit has some options.
For sure. Last Whisper completed now. BET coming in next from Pinoy as well. And once he completes that one, he has enough AD for his E to really blow up these towers. So just need a bit more time on the side of Gambit.
Well, they're certainly getting it right now.
They're getting it now, especially with those kills. They managed to stop the big wave as well.
Also, look at the way
kill
Diamond has been
participation,
involved. Yeah, 100% of those kills he has been a part of. Even if he's only secured 1 for himself, that's perfectly fine. He can play the jungle role in multiple ways. And look at this flank right now. Oh, they throw down the Tormented Soil. That will reveal him. But now, does he have enough damage? No, not nearly to do anything to anyone. The rest of Gambit was not there just yet. Ottawamne, though, is looking to start the fight. The box is down. Edward's going to flash away. Cabochard zoning away the rest of the team. They're looking to pick off Ottawamne, but Rio coming to the rescue. There is going to be the Zanya's Hourglass. Lulix catching the rest of the members off guard. Lulix going so low, but not going down. Pinoy hopping, but he's not going to be able to get away as he was caught in the dark binding. A shutdown going over to Ryu. It's at 3-4-0 and H2k. Thunder back after that.
Lulix is pretty good at this game. EQ combos, and then he flashes after to get the knock-up, and 2 guys from Gambit ulted him after as well, locked them in. And you saw how they played this fight. As soon as the ulti was popped from Cabochard, everyone just backed away. Backed away from the ulti, ran out, then they re-engaged in. Obviously, we're waiting for Rio as well, coming from that top lane. Gambit trying to make a play because there was only 4 guys from H2k. Didn't work. So let's see what Diamond can do. Still 100% kill participation. He's been good in terms of the fighting, but the problem has been the lack of pressure early on from Gambit, which has allowed H2k to take down all these outer turrets so early. Lulix was just going to walk into the lane, pushed him down for himself and whatever laner he was assisting. Let's see if Diamond can get a kill, though.
Yeah, Lulix is a little bit low. He's got to know something's up because there is a lot of chase coming from Betsy. Oh, they may not even need it. Here we go. Here comes Diamond as he's revealed. Betsy's going to get the kill. The hate spike's helping out. Now they look for Hjarn, and he's turned into a cupcake, and he is going to Valkyrie his way to safety. But those double buffs looking tasty. The charm. Diamond is caught. The damage is so real, and Ryu trying to make the play. Oh, he's caught, though, and they should be able to dish more damage back. But now they're looking for Betsy. In comes Pinoy, just like clockwork, and he's so low, but he's staying alive. Ryu going down. What is going on? This is the craziest skirmish we've seen in a while. And here comes Pinoy. Ottawamne, twisted advance, back onto him, and it just keeps going. Do they have the damage to take him out? Yes, they do. Pinoy. Kaboom, man. That's all you can say.
This is just, again, the Gambit style. Yeah, you fall behind. Who cares? Let's just keep walking in and look for fights. There was a pick onto Lulix first, and then everyone just joined. More kills for Gambit, 4 now for Pinoy. Betsy managed to get 2 for himself. They are trying to stay in this game, simply by keep taking fights that normally a team would never take.
And
but Gambit makes it work.
Yeah, now let's see if they can secure this dragon up. It's going to be a close one. It's actually stolen away by Lulix. So the dragon they had a chance to pick up, H2k manages to grab it back. That is their number 4. Even so, it's so hard to call this one. Let's take a look back at the base. The minions are starting to wreck it, but Gambit, they're taking their time to get back and defend.
And that's the thing. Despite Gambit making some good plays in terms of these fights, they still fallen so far behind on the map itself that H2k can't afford giving up a few kills. They still have the pressure. And then, of course, that steal on the dragon was so important. Let's see it again. Gambit are basically saying, we need some kills here. We're going to chase you. They find Lulix first. Jan, next one. 3 guys now from Gambit. You can see Pinoy and Cabochard on your minimap. They're going to walk down as well and join it. And it just becomes this extremely hard to predict game where random fights will appear left and right. Sick hook from Eddie. Cat Ryu. Cupcake after as well. We don't even need to see the rest. People just die.
Yeah, everyone just blew up at the end of all that. So H2k in the aftermath, they're trying to push 5 strong up the top side, but Pinoy is here. He's got the wave clear. The hook's going to connect on Ryu. Once again, the black shield comes too late as Pinoy avoids the charm. Gambit have mobilized the defense. They've got nothing in the middle, I should say. The super minions were pushing up after that last fight, and all H2k have to do is wait for someone to wander into a bad position. Eddie throwing down a ward as he dodges a dark binding. Here we go, Tormented Soil. Pinoy there for the defense, but does he have enough damage? Diamond coming around for the flank. They've got to know what's happening here. There's one pink, but it's not in the right lane or the right part of the jungle. No, he's not spotted yet. Ryu is moving. This is such a precarious situation.
There's no flash for Cabochard, so it's hard for him to follow Diamond onto the back line itself. Even if Diamond gets a good flank here, they need that flash ready for Cabochard. Otherwise, H2k can start backing away again once the cannon ulti gets popped.
All they have to do is wait for just a moment. Oh, and maybe not, because Edward is going to wander too far forward, sticks his nose out, gets charmed, and taken down another tower. They look for the inhib. Gambit, they want to answer back, but it's going to be so hard in this 4v5. Inhibitor number 2 now. It looks like it's going down, courtesy of Hjarnan and the rest of H2k, and they back out happy.
Big plays by Rio. We've seen it a few times already. Whenever he plays his Ahri, he's not afraid to just dash over the walls, land that charm in the late game. Really paying off for him. And yeah, Baron 10 seconds. Remember that next dragon as well. It's going to be number 5. So if they get a Baron now...
Gambit can't afford to defend this. They're moving away from their base, but there's minions pushing in. Up in the top side, the supers are starting to spawn now. I mean, they do have to do something, but it's still a 5v4 until Edward arrives, and even then, H2k, they can take their time about this. They have time on their side with 2 inhibitors down.
Just wait. Don't start it. Set up wards around it and just sit there. Have the super minions do all the work. Wait till like Cabochard goes back to try and defend. He might not even be able to hold it on his own against two lanes of super minions. And you just play patient. You don't need to risk Diamond stealing that Baron away from you, or you being caught in the Baron pit itself into like a cannon ulti and a Evelyn ulti, and then Pinoy cleans up the whole thing, gets a pentakill, becomes the hero of the game.
Okay, so it looks like they both decided to not play the game of chicken. H2k, they back away. That signals the chance for Gambit to back away to defend. They've got Cabochard up on the top. They've got an inhibitor back in the middle as a just respawn, so they have a little bit of breathing room if they can push the wave out in top to be able to control the Baron side. However, they're still in some dire straits here. They're down about 8,000 gold. On the other hand, they're still winning some fights, so if they don't get caught out, I mean, that whole thing was enabled by Eddie basically just getting picked off by Ryu. If that doesn't happen again, Gambit are still looking like a force to be reckoned with, but here comes H2k again trying to clear out the vision and keep it their own on the side of the Baron.
Gambit can still win fights for sure, but keep in mind every time they have been able to pick up kills, it's been where they were chasing H2k, they managed to split up the whole thing and kind of single them out, and that's how they got the kills in a straight up 5-on-5. I think Gambit is still too far behind, and their comp doesn't allow them to deal with this massive Maokai jumping in onto the likes of Pinoy and shut him down. Unless, again, they can catch someone out. We're going to have to see. Baron is starting out by H2k. Cabochard is sitting in the top lane farming. They're going to see him teleport because the minions keep going in. He's backing away here. Let's see what he can do. He has home guards. He wants to proc that home guard first. Not in time. Baron is down.
Yeah, Baron is down. They don't attempt to contest it in that case. They do see it does go. They will have the timer available. Dragon's another minute and a half away, however. Gambit have lost a good portion of map control after the fact, and 4 members of H2k are pushing up the middle. 5, excuse me.
All 5 here. Again, you have 1 lane with pressure already. You don't really care about the bottom lane at this point because you know this mid lane is your goal. There's no pink wards from H2k, so they won't be able to spot Diamond unless they had one place before. They did. They pinged him out, so they know he's there. They had one down in the bush near the Raptor. So nice little setup for them. Really been good at spotting the flank every single time. Not
he hasn't been able to do what he wants.
Come in.
I mean, still great in the kill participation when they do get the fights that they want, but they've just not been able to do much. The inhibitor, it goes in again. I feel like Gambit are running out of time here with these Baron-empowered minions pushing up the middle. They've once again lost their mid inhibitor. Diamond's still looking for a flank, but H2k aren't giving it to him.
No, we know Dragon is going to be the target. 30 seconds. No pinks around that one, so this should give an opening for Diamond to get the right engage. Flash is ready for Cabochard as well, so he can join in. Flash ulti, Hourglass. I think that's why we're going to see Kasane Recall and get a pink ward for himself. There we go, 2 already picked up Ryu and him, so now they can return back to this Dragon, set it up properly, not risk any steals from this Evelyn. No, you want that 5th one. Then you go bottom lane, you take the last lane, and you should be able to close out the game.
They can grab that 5th, it will be very important to them. 6 seconds, and Gambit not really looking to contest. Oh, blue trinket is popped here. Diamond is going to run away. Oh, he's running back in, actually. Now the Dragon is procced. If he can pull the steal, that would be very, very important.
Have to force Diamond away. Don't
in the process,
take the risk.
Though. Yeah, this is dangerous. He's wandering. Oh, it's going down. Nope, that is Drake number 5. Gambit wasn't able to get involved in the rest of them were just pushing away at the minions that are now occupying the top and the middle waves. But everyone from H2k looking to take out that last remaining inhibitor and finish this game textbook fashion. Let's see if they can do it. That tower, it's going down oh so quick. Gambit is in some trouble. 10,000 gold down at 38 minutes. Can they play the hero? Here we go. Kabushard finding Otawamne. Lulex is found by Diamond, but they're getting chunked out by the rocket damage from the Corki. In comes Lulex, exhausted immediately, jumps in for a second win. Otawamne picks Benoit. Gambit, they're falling apart. H2k, they're chasing them all the way back to the fountain. Betsy just barely staying alive as Ryu is able to push them back. One Nexus turret goes down, the other one's gonna follow, and it looks like H2k, they've done it. They've snapped Gambit Gaming's win streak. They've taken them out and extend their own to 7 in a row. GG, well played as the Nexus falls.
Smiles all around for H2k, of course. Fantastic game from them, honestly. Early game, the teleports from Otawamne were great. They knew exactly what Gambit were doing. They got these early outer turrets. They got all the dragons, all the barons. And overall, textbook game from H2k. They know exactly which objectives to focus, when to push, how to push. We did see Gambit try. Had some of these guerrilla warfare team fights where they like chase you around. Oh, Kasang getting blocked by the camera.
Oh yeah. No, I mean they got to be happy with that. So few mistakes, and the ones that they did, the fights that they did lose, you can't really chalk that up to anything but just Gambit had the element of surprise.
Yes,
but
exactly.
They were able to completely shut down the Evelyn where it counted when they were trying to push. You see Diamond just a little pensive after that game. They tried something out. I mean, credit to him, the scientific process. Not every jungler you try is going to work, but he's certainly running the gamut.
Right, so for Diamond here, 100% kill participation, 2 kills, 8 assists, 10 kills total for Gambit. So you can't really fault him for his mid to late game performance, but Evelyn just doesn't offer you that much early on. And that was the problem for Gambit. He had a fairly weak early game setup, especially with the Tristana as well, who needs more time. So when you have a jungler who couldn't really apply too much pressure to the lanes, you have an AD carry who needs time to scale up. You have a Kennen as well who needs an hourglass before he really starts becoming a factor in team fights or in fights in general. That simply allowed H2k to do whatever they wanted to early on. It allowed them to take Lulex and say, where do we want to push down the first outer turret? Okay, top, you go top lane now, push it in. You know that Evelyn won't be able to respond to you because she's currently farming the jungle. She drops too low from it. We are safe. First tower, second tower, third tower went down. And that was how they got the goal lead and used that really to simply take all the objectives after all the dragons, all the barons, or all the barons, 2 of them, but all the
they
dragons.
Constantly set up too. I mean,
exactly.
There was no way that Gambit could get involved in it. They gave too many away too early, which, I mean, that is kind of the style that Gambit's been, okay, we're going to back off if we can't take it cleanly. And H2k, knowing this, just went ahead and grabbed what they wanted. So, you know, they grabbed that win as well. So for a closer look at that win, the 7th straight for H2k, let's check in on stage where Quickshot is standing by to talk to Otawamne.
Thank you very much, guys. I am joined by Otawamne, undefeated in 7 games. Whether or not you remember, your winning streak started after losing to Gambit. So you guys have avenged yourselves 1-1 now. Let's talk about the game. It was a slow start, slow laning phase, but then you guys just grabbed control after 20 minutes. Why did that happen, and how was it so convincing?
We just like playing safe in the laning phase because we know our objective control in the mid game and our team fights are really good and we have really good calls to move around the map in the mid game, so we just want to secure an early safe game. And then when we reached the mid game, we just started making plays around the map. We did smart ganks to take towers. We have really good Drake control and we just made TP plays around the map.
Did playing against an Evelyn affect your decision-making in any way? It's the first time we've seen it in 2015, and we know the threat of the invisible champion's always there. How focused were your team on that pick?
Well, it affected our game a lot because one of the reasons we played so safe in the early game was because of Evelyn, and we just never saw her on the map for the first 10 minutes. So we just focused on playing safe on the laning phase, and then we knew that if she doesn't get ganks in the early game, then her mid game is really weak and our team fights are going to be superior. So we just waited to see her around the map and then we just started grouping.
Now let's talk a little bit about your team's performance. I mentioned already 7-0. You guys at the end of today will be tied for second with SK or Fnatic, whoever loses that game. Did you expect yourself and the team's performance to be this good after losing Febivin, relatively soon before starting LCS?
Well, yeah, we never expected to be this high. My expectations at the beginning of the season were middle of the pack because Fabian was our core member in the team. We played with him for about a year. So I definitely didn't expect this performance, but it feels that we can even aim higher for playoffs and possibly top 2.
Well, definitely best of luck for that. And I'm looking forward to seeing the rest of the split and H2k in the playoffs. For now, we're going to head back up to the analyst desk to wrap up that game.
Thank you so much, Trevor. We heard it already there from Oduamne saying that it affected the way they played their early game, fact that there was an Evelyn in there. So I want to turn the question on Gambit and Evelyn because they didn't do anything in the early game, but the only chance they really had was in the 2 versus 2, and then it was still a small window.
Yeah, basically, the only pushing lane for HK was basically like the top lane. They had Morgana and Corki pushing in Thresh and Tristana. What could have happened is that Eve maybe gets the gank on top lane, but the thing was that due to the lane swap or like how it started, basically Jarvan got topside control early game, so everyone was kind of scared to get into the top side, and she kind of wasted a bit of time around mid lane, was delayed on the red buff because she kind of expected that maybe Lulex comes from red to red or anything like that, but they missed the opportunity to gank top lane, basically make a play, get ahead through the early game, and then have a stronger mid game coming in. And it may have been a misplay, but it may have just been miscommunication.
Yeah, in retrospect, that was their only window. And I'm going to quote you word for word when we were preparing the past week for this game. You said, if H2k manages to get some kind of advantage early and translates that into objectives, there's nothing that can stop them. They can win the game. And
yeah,
behold.
Okay, I gotta take credit for that one, but the important part is for Gambit and for HK. Like Gambit always seems to start out slow, have the first 10-15 minutes of the game are like maybe they fall behind like 1-2k. We've seen that versus CW. We've seen that versus another team. I can't remember though. Sorry, but either way, what happens for HK in the first 15 minutes, however, is that they always achieve control. So if the window is become big enough and the difference has become big enough for HK to contest every objective without counterplay, especially versus late game split and comp like Gambit had, it's really easy for them to steamroll, and they did this game.
Yeah, and it was going very well for them very fast. We actually have a replay up on the screen where Gambit did try to make something happen, but at this point it's already too late, especially when your Maokai is so big.
Yeah, Edward basically trying to get a flash play in, misses the play, then hits the hook on Lulex, which is not ideal. He gets one shot in the teamfight, but the teamfight itself still progresses pretty nicely because Cabo Shard and Diamond are pretty huge due to their ultimates, and they actually get 2 kills onto Lulex, and I think it's going to be Odoamne now, exactly. But then the game mechanic basically works against Pino. He gets binded, then pulls a Pino at Jenkins and basically jumps in and gets one shot, which is not ideal, obviously, as an AD carry, and he misses the timing of getting the reset.
Pino Jenkins. I love that. We got to remember that one. Any conclusions to draw for this one? H2k is now second. What does this mean for Gambit?
For Gambit, it just means that they have to work harder in the next few weeks because they had the ambitions, or they still have the ambitions. Like especially in Diamond interview, you can kind of see that he wants to work harder, and would probably, like said, he would beat himself 2 years ago and stuff like that. What it means for them is that they have to adapt and basically like maybe get away from some of the picks that they regularly do, like something like the Tristana coming in like every game almost, and they have to kind of find more ways to play the game than just like hope for enemies to throw mid game and then translate into some kind of mid game to late game lead.
Yeah, for Diamond as well. Nidalee and Sejuani banned out. They banned out Rek'Sai, then falling back on that Evelyn. Maybe we're going to have to see something else coming out from him. Before we take a break, though, let's check in with you guys. In the Twitter sphere earlier, we asked you which team do you think will jump into one of the 6 playoff spots and why. The first one is from @Altair and writes, H2k are going to make it to playoffs. They are a solid lineup with Probably handling picks and bans very well. Solid lineup. Playoff spot, number 1?
Yeah, number 1, not, but I think right now what they're doing right now is pretty great. They have such a solid lineup. They always translate early game leads into objective control, etc. pp, which means that they will always have evenish games and they always have the chance to win. So they're a secure playoff spot for me too.
The next one is from @CreationMan. I think SK will be pushed out of the top 2 by Gambit. They're playing extremely well, and SK are falling in form. After this game from Gambit, not so sure. What do you think?
It depends on how internal issues may occur, anything that how they may be fixed. But it's really about like Gambit picking up again after this loss, which is like kind of brutal, especially after like such a long winning streak. You always have the feeling of you have to win, instead of like you come into each game and just like be even and just like hope to win, and they have to do that.
Last tweet is from @Kronai, chimed in with Crepo leading, I think Elements can make a great run to the playoffs. His playmaking and roaming are incredible. We've only seen 2 games, and one at least that was the truth. They're up against Copenhagen Wolves next. What do you think he brings?
I think what Kerpo brings is basically like something that Noxec brought in his first game too. It's this fearlessness. He knows that he has the potential to always do stuff, and he will not like be scared to do that. Like he will always go for the play if he can, and I think that's a great attribute to have, especially in a team that has been criticized for such passive play overall.
Yep, and thank you guys for chiming in, of course, and remember to stay in the discussion all week with the hashtag LCS. Now we're about to step away, but when we return, Elements will face the Copenhagen Wolves and look to tie for a playoff position in the standings, while the Wolves set their sights on 4th place. Stay tuned.
Oh, also, Kebo, I found your mouse pad.
Oh, nice. Hey, that's mine. If we lose, you know what's the reason.
Do they have the damage to finish a kill? They do. It's Diamond picking up Lulex. Odoamne, oh so low.
Gonna get him.
Spinoy, but he's getting chunked away.
Switch.
No.
I'm coming.
Free kill.
Leo coming to the rescue. There is going to be the Zanya's Hourglass. Lulex catching the rest of the members off guard. Lulex going so low, but not going down. In comes Lulex, exhausted immediately, jumps in for a second win. Odoamne picks Benoit. Gambit, they're falling apart. They've snapped Gambit Gaming's win streak and extend their own to 7 in a row.